Hello everyone, I'm Billy Telford and I will be presenting the case study of the Ka Nefer Nefer mask. This is quite a complex case and reads like a movie script, with various exotic locations and a cast of mysterious characters that culminates in a legal battle. So let me provide you with a very brief overview here. The Ka Nefer Nefer mask is a funerary mask and is around 3,200 years old. It was excavated in Egypt in 1952, but we cannot be certain of its movements after that until 1998, when it was bought by the St. Louis Art Museum from an antiquities dealership. Upon finding out about this purchase, the Egyptian authorities claimed the mask had been stolen from Egypt and made a request to the US authorities to facilitate its return. Subsequently, a legal case took place to determine rightful ownership of the mask. In this presentation, I will consider the source, transit and market of the mask. The history of the mask since 1952 is disputed, and therefore the transit and market aspects are not clearly defined from each other, so they will be discussed together. Given the dispute over the mask's modern history and ownership, it will thereafter be essential to discuss the mask's provenance and due diligence carried out by the St. Louis Museum of Art. I will refer to the museum as the Slam to stop myself getting tongue-tied. So here goes. First we will consider the source of the Ka Nefer Nefer mask. So, as I said, the mask was excavated at Saqqara in early 1952 by the Egyptian archaeologist Muhammad Zakaria Gonheim. Saqqara is situated on the west bank of the River Nile, about 30 kilometres south of Cairo in northeast Egypt. It was utilised as a burial site for Memphis from the period of the Second Dynasty to around 850 AD. The site is vast, measuring approximately 6 kilometres by 1.5 kilometres, and part of the site is shown here. The specific location of the mask's excavation was at the unfinished step pyramid of a 3rd Dynasty king. Right, so what is the mask? Well, it's a funerary mask from the 19th dynasty. It was found on the unmummified body of Ka Nefer Nefer, which was wrapped in a reed mat. Ka Nefer Nefer was a noblewoman, and we know her name because it was written on objects that accompanied the mask. The mask is constructed of linen, resin, glass, wood, gold and pigment, and it depicts the head, upper torso and crossed arms of Ka Nefer Nefer. So, what happened to the mask after its excavation? Well, after 1952, our knowledge of its movements over the next few decades are very murky indeed, because the Egyptian authorities and the Slam provide very different accounts. The Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities state that after the mask was excavated in 1952, it was placed into storage at Saqqara. In 1959, it was sent to the Cairo Museum before again being returned to Saqqara in 1962. In 1966, the mask was sent to Cairo for preparation to be displayed in Tokyo. However, this exhibition was cancelled and the mask remained in Egypt. The Supreme Council of Antiquities holds storage registers that support these movements. However, when an inventory was conducted at Saqqara in 1973, the mask was missing, and it remained missing until 1998, when the Egyptian authorities became aware the Slam had bought it from Phoenix Ancient Art. Now, Phoenix Ancient Art have a crucial role in this case, so we will discuss them later. So, what do the Slam say about the modern history of the mask? Well, in 2006, the director of the Slam provided the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities with their account of the modern history of the mask. Slam argued the mask had never been in storage after its excavation, but had in fact been awarded to the archaeologist Gonheim by the Egyptian authorities in recognition of his good work. This suggestion was based on a handwritten note composed in 1997 by an antiquities dealer called Charlie Mattes, and the note was sent to Hisham Abutam, one of the owners of Phoenix Ancient Art. In this note, Mates states that he saw the Ka Nefer Nefer mask for sale in an antiquities dealership in Brussels in either 1952 or 1958. This clearly contradicts the Egyptian authorities' timeline. Further to this, the Egyptian authorities counter that the practice of rewarding an archaeologist in this manner would be a totally irregular practice. According to the Slam, from the Belgian dealership, the mask then passed to the Ka Nefer collection, a private family collection that very little is known about. In fact, so little is known about this collection that even the spelling of Ka Nefer is uncertain. This claim is based on a letter sent in 1997 from, you guessed it, an anonymous Swiss collector to Phoenix Ancient Art. This anonymous Swiss collector was later revealed to be Zuzi Jelinek, a Croatian fashion designer who had lived in Switzerland. Jelinek claims she bought the mask from the Ka Nefer collection in the early 60s. Again, this claim conflicts with the Egyptian authorities' timeline. Hisham Abutam of Phoenix Ancient Arts claims to have purchased the mask from the anonymous Swiss collector in 1997 and placed it on display at Geneva's Museum of Art History. However, there is very limited documentary evidence to support the fact that it was in this exhibition. A member of curatorial staff was unable to find any documentary evidence of this and maintains the mask was never in the exhibition. So let's take a moment to consider Phoenix Ancient Art, as they are the linchpin in the mask's provenance. Phoenix Ancient Art was founded in 1968 by the Lebanese antiquities dealer Slimane Abutam and has dealerships in Geneva and New York. Later on, the running of the company was taken over by Abutam's sons, Hisham and Ali, pictured here. In the 2000s, both Hisham and Ali Abutam were prosecuted for offences including smuggling antiquities and misrepresenting the origin of an antiquity on a customs document. It should also be noted that in 2003, the US government confiscated a funerary slab from the Abutams and returned it to Yemen after it was found to be stolen from a museum, despite the Abutam's provenance stating that it had been in a private collection. In 1998, the Slam purchased the mask from Phoenix Ancient Art for $499,000. And once again, bear in mind, the majority of the mask's provenance was compiled by Phoenix Ancient Art. So let's talk about whether or not the mask was returned. Well, in 2011, the US attorney filed a case for forfeiture of the mask under customs law after the Egyptian authorities requested their assistance. In 2012, the case was dismissed by US District Court, pictured here, because the US government had failed to provide sufficient details about the circumstances of the alleged theft, such as when the mask had been stolen, or how, or by whom. Essentially, the judgment was that the US government had insufficient facts to meet the burden of proof. The US authorities appealed this decision, but was thrown out in 2014 by the 8th Circuit Court of Appeal. However, when giving this verdict, the judge stated that museums should exercise due diligence when provenancing a potential purchase. The US attorney was more accusatory, stating the Slam knew or was willfully blind to the fact that the mask was stolen property both before and after its importation. So, bearing this accusation in mind, let's consider what due diligence the Slam carried out. That's the St. Louis Art Museum pictured here, by the way. So, the director of the Slam argued they had consulted the Art Loss Register, the International Foundation for Art Research, Interpol, and the director of the Cairo Museum, all of which gave no indication the mask was stolen. However, it should be considered that the mask was never reported stolen. Therefore, the Art Crime Register and Interpol are irrelevant under these circumstances. Further to this, the Egyptians argue the Slam did not contact the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities and were vague when engaging with the Cairo Museum, providing limited information about the mask, thus limiting the opportunities for identification. It should be considered that the Slam's provenance of the mask was partly compiled by Phoenix Ancient Arts prior to the sale of the mask, and partly by the Slam after the sale. When they were later questioned regarding their letters to Phoenix Ancient Art, both Charlie Mattes and the anonymous Swiss collector were vague in their recollection of events. In terms of the provenance available to the Slam at the time of the purchase, this was very limited. In fact, the note indicating the mask had been in a Belgian dealership in the 1950s did not become known to the Slam until after the museum had purchased it. In conclusion, when we consider the evidence, it would appear there is a very strong argument that the mask was stolen. Documentary evidence clearly indicates it was in Egypt until 1966. The Slam's provenance is weak, based on a couple of letters from individuals with vague recollections. This provenance was predominantly provided to the Slam by the Abitam brothers of Phoenix Ancient Arts, who, in later years, would be proven to be in possession of stolen antiquities with falsified provenances. The court verdict may have been in favour of the Slam, but this was clearly because the specific facts surrounding the mask's disappearance from Egypt were unknown, rather than the implication the mask was not stolen. The gentleman pictured in this slide is the archaeologist Mohammed Zakaria Gonaim. If you are wondering why he has not settled this matter, well, unfortunately he was found dead, floating in the Nile in 1959. On that note, thank you and good night.